Hey, happy Saturday, everybody. It's Aaron with Wingert's Woodworks. A buddy of mine at work recently showed me a video another woodworker did, just kind of a shop tour. And I love seeing how different woodworkers, especially different call makers, lay out their shops, what their just kind of what their tools are, what their setups are, and how they work. So I figured I'd do the same. Show you guys the tools I use, uh, what I like, what I don't, kind of the general layout of the shop. So let's check it out. So I finished off this half of my basement uh, years and years ago, and um, put in an acoustic ceiling to help with noise and dust. This is a crap collector over here. Um, this old DeWalt miter saw from the 90s. Only thing I use it for is cutting aluminum and brass rod. It doesn't really see any use on wood anymore. It's just old and really sloppy. The miter saw I use is Makita 10-inch compound sliding miter saw. I've got it piped to Festool vac, so it's set up to where when I pull the trigger on the saw, the vac kicks on. So the dust collection is actually a 3D printed adapter. That little green guy. It's a super efficient dust collection. Because these things just belch dust, and this thing, I'll get a little bit of dust down here, but you get generally no airborne dust from it. It's amazing. So good investment. Those Festool vacs, they're proud of them, but guys, they are, for an indoor shop, they're fantastic. Dust wise, I have a dust collector, but then I have this old JDS air cleaner. It has, you can kind of clean the filters. You can remove, there's a huge bag filter inside of it that you can take outdoors and shake out. So I'll run that. My lathe is over here, and you can see right there I've got a fan, and when I'm turning on the lathe, I have that fan blowing air across me in front of me, which really keeps a lot of the air off my face and my lung, or the dust off my face and body and lungs. But it flows generally upward, so any fine particulate stuff, it doesn't catch everything, but that thing catches a good amount. So I've got the Smith Little Torch set up for flame polishing acrylic. Don't do a lot of it, but pretty indispensable when you need it. As far as the lathe station, face protection, never leave home without it. I always use it. I've got all my lathe tools. I use kind of a blend of high-speed steel. That's my old roughing gouge is getting a little short, but I use that tool a lot. Round carbide, square carbide, diamond carbide, slight radius carbide, negative rate carbide, and then I've got a huge, maybe not a huge assortment, but I've got a lot of gouges and parting tools. Couple parting tools down here. So I use a lot of them. I use high-speed steel. I use carbide. Kind of every tool has its purpose. From here forward, from here back, I don't use all those. Are kind of more specialty stuff that don't get used on every call, but they're good to have when you need them. Use these magnet strips for drill bits. Keep a couple chucks with stuff handy, just ready to go. Made my nifty cell phone holder out of a piece of sheet metal. That's kind of handy. Polishing compound. I go through Q-tips like mad, so I buy those in bulk. CA glue. Got the TV. Safety first. My lathe is a Jet 1221. Been running this one, well, I don't know, probably 6 years, something like that. So it runs fine. The tailstocks get a lot of slop in the spindle, or in the quill. That's my only gripe with these lathes. And this one's getting pretty bad, so it'll probably get put out to pasture this year and replaced. More to come on that. The bench is one of those Craig kit benches. This upper part is a fire door that I bought and wrapped. I bought the fire door from actually another call maker that had a pile of them. So it's gypsum lined, probably weighs a couple 100 pounds, and I wrapped it with MDF and then sealed it with tons of spar, and then did the same thing down here. So the benefit of that, just having that amount of ballast, there's no vibration in that bench, and you'd literally need a forklift to pick it up. It's just shockingly heavy. Another cool thing that I stumbled on this year, standing on concrete all day, if you're down here, it ain't good for you. It wears, when you get old like me, it wears you out. So I actually went to Tractor Supply and bought one of these 3/4 inch thick rubber stall mats, which it's not the squishiest thing in the world, but it's better than concrete, and they're not overly expensive. Highly recommend that. I'd spent money over the years on those like work pads and things, and they'd slide around on the concrete. Hated them. This thing don't move because it's super heavy. So cool shop tip there. Sharpening wise, I use an 8-inch slow speed Delta grinder. On this side I've got a CBN cubic boron nitride wheel. I believe it's a 220 grit. On that side I've got a one of those Norton 3X, I think it is, aluminum oxide. The CBN wheel does the bulk of my work for me. Unless I'm reshaping a gouge, I don't typically use that side much. And then I've got it on a Wolverine, a one-way Wolverine jig. Got the very grind attachment. And then I actually use these Raptor tools to profile my gouges. So those are kind of slick. You don't have to have them, but it keeps you from chewing through wood. So a lot of guys will hit me up. Customers will say, hey, send me a list of what wood you got. It's like, oh God, I can't. And because I keep a ton, and it changes, but this is mostly stabilized wood. Got some bourbon, gotta have some bourbon. Got some Corian, got some acrylic shorts in there. Got some curly maple there that's needs to go out to be stabilized. Then a ton more stabilized blanks up here. Don't look at this, you can't have this. And then, yeah, so that's the bulk of the wood. I guess Cocobolo, blackwood, Bacote, laminate walnut, a few other things underneath there. I've got a disc sander. Then over here under my stairs is a bead blast cabinet. And it is, it's how I matte finish my calls, so I do use that thing a lot. Run a vac on it to keep the dust down. And to feed that bead blast cabinet, got a 60-gallon compressor, 220 volt, and it's piped into the shop, so I just had a line made from the compressor up to this. I've got a dryer, got a regulator, got a valve just so if something leaks it doesn't totally cycle the compressor. And then through this door, I'll show you, I don't have a light in there, but I've got the cheap old Harbor Freight crappy dust collector, which is the only Harbor Freight tool that I think is worth owning. Wind environmental filter on top, which makes it a heck of a good machine. Had that for years, it's going strong. And then I've got it into a switched outlet. Got a little 6-inch jet joiner. I run a Bird Helix head on it, so it's carbide cutters. That allows me to use, you know, guys, I turn a lot of burl, and burl you can't run through a jointer. In grain, cross cut, you can't run through a jointer safely. With one of those Helix heads, you can. So that's why I'm a big fan of that type of head. My meager collection, which desperately needs to be dusted. I don't think I have any purchased calls in here. Most of them are made by friends. This here's from back in the old days when old Wingert used to build duck calls. But yeah, you can see I've got some really, actually that's a purchase call, but some of my carved and checkered. There's a MiG there. There's Harold Kitchen, Andrew Haddon, Ken Eason, Seth Owsley. The list goes on. Ron, Tim Vietti. There's quite a few, all made by guys that are either friends, guys that I've taught, guys that have taught me. So they're in a call in there I'd ever let go of. So metal lathe. Only real thing I use my metal lathe for is end caps, but it's worth its weight in gold. This one's kind of a Frankenstein bastard machine. It is dying, sadly, but it's got its. I've got my its use out of it. It's on its last leg, but that's all right. And then I've got it on one of those crate benches. I did get a little fancy and built some drawers on that. That one is like 3 or 4 layers of 3/4 inch plywood, and then I think it's 3 layers, and then laminated that with MDF as well. This is my 14-inch Powermatic bandsaw. Been a really good saw. Got my logo on it. So I do have it on dust collection. It kind of runs out there. It's disconnected on the floor. Got a router table. Don't use that much on duck whistles, but I'll occasionally prep blanks to go to stabilizing using it. Chamfer edges, things like that. Just general workspace. More general workspace. Actually, show you one thing. I've got the article framed that Wildfowl did back, I don't remember what year that was. I'm going to guess 2012, somewhere. 2013. I'd been in the game for a while, for years, but this article was really a springboard for making my waiting list years instead of months. So this is an article that Ken Kaiser did for Kansas Wildlife and Parks magazine. It featured my turkey calls and a call I made for I can't remember if that was Governor Brownback or Governor Parkinson, but I said Ken Kaiser, I meant Ken Taylor. Sorry, Ken. And then acrylic storage, more acrylic storage. I've got shorts everywhere, so it's just kind of hard to. I figured I could at least contain the long stuff with this. My drill press, it's used on about everything I make. It's a Nova Voyager DVR. It's a fantastic machine. They're absolutely, they're really incredible machines. So I can dial my RPMs down because it's direct drive. So we'll take it down to 60 RPMs, nice and slow. And I can run it all the way up. Not that and she's just smooth as butter. If you ever get slop in the quill, I can adjust the quill with these little grub screws and this to tighten it up, which great feature on a drill press. So over here, cordless drills, various stuff. Had this little 12-inch Delta since the 90s. I'd replace it if it would ever die, but it won't die. So I use it on every call I make. This is kind of a cool deal, a little shadow box I've got. Dr. James Earl Kinnemer, who was the Chief Conservation Officer. I think he's retired now, but he sent me, well, I built a commemorative call for him that was gifted to him, and I got this letter in return. Wasn't expecting anything because I just, my friend bought a call and gifted it to him, but he sent that as a recognition of liking the call, and placed an order for a call for him and his son, which that was, for me, that was the highest compliment I could get as a turkey call maker, because that guy's the preeminent turkey knowledge guy ever. So here's Milo. Hi, buddy. He's pissed because he got a bath. So, and then centerpiece of the shop is a 3-horse Grizzly 10-inch cabinet saw. It's got I'm leery of Grizzly stuff, I'll be honest, but this has an American, it's got a Leeson motor in it, so I paid a little more and got a better motor, and it's been a workhorse. I've had it for, God, I bet I got it before my kids were born, so it's probably 15 years old, if not older. It's been a really good saw. Got a big outfeed table on it, which doesn't really get used for outfeed as a, I make things that big, right? But So it's a lot of saw for what I'm using it for, but it's been really good. Got the Sycamore sauce, y'all. If you haven't heard of it yet, you need to look into it. It's fantastic. I chuck up my glue ups in the chuck. I'm going to turn them on the lathe. I run all Nova chucks. Chucking them up like that allows everything to stay concentric as I drill. So that's always been my method. It works really well for me. I need more chucks, but just built a fly rod as though I need any more hobbies, but you never know what that may turn into. And then my old Jet 1221 is it's a dedicated buffing station. I don't use the wax wheel. You can tell I've been buffing metal on it. I use the Tripoli and the white diamond wheel sometimes. I always use Tripoli. That's generally when I will finish a call. It's getting the Tripoli. And then last, I've got I sign all my calls using the NSK Presto 2. It's about a 400,000 RPM dental drill essentially. And I've got it set up here on a regulator, a dryer, and just kind of a little board I made to kind of contain everything and have the on-off without getting too fancy. So anyway, that's the shop as she sits. Those of you that know me or have met me in person know what a freakishly tall fellow I am. You can see the amount of times old Aaron's hit his head and left DNA there. So, this is what it is, man. Tall guy problems. But thanks for checking it out with me. Show me your shop the same way. Y'all have a good one.